The only thing necessary for evil to triumph in this world is for good men to do nothing. That is a quote attributed to Edmund Burke, and something that comes to mind with what's going on in the world of video games today. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT, and today we're going to be talking about Capcom bending the knee to Western civilization and swinging the rainbow sword to change all of their localization efforts, ensuring that everything is culturally sensitive to the Western world, because we wouldn't like to have anything in Japanese culture come over and invade America and make us feel all uncomfortable because we can't take jokes over here. Yeah, that's kind of what this is turning into. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down this crazy tweet from Capcom Localization. And this is from their official Twitter account, going through a number of different steps that they will be taking to ensure cultural sensitivity. But what do I see when I read this? Straight up cultural vandalism in action. This is imposing Western cult ideologies on Japanese art. And Capcom, as I stated on Twitter, stabbed themselves in the heart with the woke sword. The woke mind virus that has infected most of America and is now spreading throughout the entire world. And I don't want this to be taken as a anti-gay or anti-LGB or anti-this or trans that or phobic this. No, it's the realization of people aren't even allowed to enjoy the things they love anymore because other people's ideologies are being forced upon them and needing to change what they like into what someone else forces you to accept. That right there is my anger, the frustration, the center of everything. Localization is a critical process in the gaming world. It ensures that video games resonate with players from different cultural backgrounds, although in days past, localization was more just straight up translating and making sure that the jokes came across to other audiences and made sense, because sometimes language barriers didn't necessarily translate one for one, and some colloquialisms wouldn't really make any sense. The jargon in one language wouldn't necessarily directly translate to another one. So a localization team would be there and be like, okay, this is what it says in this case, Japanese. We need to translate this over for, in this case, English. That doesn't make any sense, but what's something that does relate to everyone who speaks English? Let's have it say this. Initially, that was the whole purpose of localization, but it has morphed into some maniacal, crazy behemoth of a monster that has consumed the entire point of it in the first place. And why? I don't know. Making money from other areas in the world? Making sure that your score is high enough for the DEI? I don't know. My point of this is, it's not acceptable the direction that things are going. Gamers need to speak up with their wallets. Take a stand against this cultural disaster, destroying Japanese culture for American values. I ain't having that. Capcom Localization team on Twitter said, "What is localization? Embark on a global adventure through the lens of game localization. Beyond mere translation, hold on, okay, so right there, this is coming from someone, me, who used to work in the video game industry and understood how localization worked. I worked at Sony and I understood what their purpose was. And now we're at a point where localization can be kind of taken over by artificial intelligence. Yes, you can have a few people on the team to make sure that it all makes sense, but nothing like it used to be. In a weird way, it almost feels like this is humans fighting back against AI by inventing a problem that only humans can fix. We're diving into the art of cultural adaptation. No, it is not art to destroy a culture. That is vandalism. That is destroying a culture by adapting it to someone else's wants and desires. That is not culture. Preserving context and inclusive storytelling. It's not preserving context if you have to have inclusive storytelling. That's the problem. You can't have both. Join us as we unravel the intricacies that make games resonate worldwide. Now again, this is from the official Capcom Twitter account for localization, and it is one hell of a diatribe going into all angles and aspects of what they're doing to justify their existence. Not just translating. Localization isn't just about translating words. It's about adapting the game for a global audience. Think cultural nuances, idioms, and regional flair. A good localization makes players feel right at home, wherever in the world they are. Could you imagine if Sucker Punch Studios, for example, took this approach with Ghosts of Tsushima, and what that would have looked like if you needed to adapt that for Western audiences? You would have completely missed the whole point of Japanese tradition and culture by trying to adapt it to Western audiences, pissing on the grave of former warriors and samurais from Japan. That's what this turns into. The importance of context. Lost in translation? Nah, preserving the vibe is key. Jokes, references, and even gameplay elements might need a little cultural remix. It's important to find that sweet spot to make sure players get the intended experience without feeling like something got lost in the process. Here's the thing with that one. Yes, I will agree. Localization does need to take into account some jokes don't make sense when translating them directly. But the problem is, that's been morphed into this weird machine of you're not allowed to make jokes anymore because people get offended, so then it gets translated into something that's not even funny anymore at the end of the day because they don't want to upset anyone who's buying their product. And in doing so, they're actually losing their audience. Cultural sensitivity in characters. Character design and development must be culturally sensitive. What may be acceptable in one culture might be offensive in another. Localizers play a crucial role in ensuring that characters are relatable and respectful, avoiding stereotypes or other references that could be perceived as negative in specific cultures. Why are stereotypes really bad? I mean, if it's true, if you're making a movie or a game based off of a specific character that does embody these stereotypes, why is it bad? That basically means you need to create an original story that does not base anything in reality because it could infringe on stereotypes, and because of that, it's found offensive by someone because it infringes on a stereotype. I never understood that one. Now, I get it. If you're going over the top hardcore on the stereotypes, trying to be funny, and it's just aggressive and harassing and all that, yeah, I get it. But if you're making a character based in a local area, and there are some stereotypical tropes on them, like Barrett from Final Fantasy VII and some of the things he says, and a lot of people got upset, oh, angry black guy, it's like, no, he's just a dude that's angry, and because he's black, people are like, oh, he's not allowed to be angry because that could infringe on the stereotype of the angry black guy, and that's not acceptable. And then they change a whole bunch of his language and lingo in the remakes so that he doesn't come across as the angry black guy. Go look at some of the Final Fantasy VII and the Final Fantasy VII remake translation differences. Right there, you're losing the essence of what the game makers intended. And that's what I have the issue with. Inclusive language and representation. Here's where it gets really good. Localization efforts extend to promoting inclusivity through language and representation. Right there, if you want to take the word and say promoting, meaning they want to raise it up. They want to make a bigger deal out of it than what it is because they want to highlight it. Make a focus on the rainbow flag to make sure the LGBTQ community doesn't get their panties in a bunch or whatever the hell they're wearing, because holy crap, you can't even say anything because they'll try to cancel you. That's the people that they're dealing with right now, and why everyone in these AAA companies are so afraid. First off, we already realized that they're being run behind the scenes by SBI and all these other encouraging cultural development groups, this diversity, this DEI practices behind the scenes by people that are absolutely, I gotta be honest, completely bonkers, batshit insane, that are in high up positions. These people are making the decisions, and these people are the ones behind saying this kind of stuff because for whatever reason, that's what they want to focus on. This involves adapting not only linguistic aspects, but also addressing gender-specific language, cultural norms, and diverse perspectives. The aim is to create an immersive experience where players from different backgrounds can identify with the characters and narrative. This can be very challenging for certain languages due to grammar. Like the languages that don't have insane people inventing pronouns to make sure that they're accepted in society. Those languages. That's the problem that I have with a lot of this. Sure, it's fine. Have your pronouns. Take your crazy pills. Live in the world you want to live in. But when you start impacting the cultural norms of what these games are based in, that's where I take issue. Adapting humor and wit. Humor often relies on cultural references and wordplay, making it a challenging aspect of game localization. Translators must carefully navigate puns, jokes, and cultural references to maintain the intended comedic effect, meaning that if there is a offensive joke in the language in Japan in the game and it comes across to America, they need to make sure that that gets cut off at the head. They don't allow that joke to get out there. They don't want anyone to see it because their company could be canceled by these crazy people making all these decisions. That right there is concerning. It's changing, it's warping what the intention, the end goal of this art, of this game to be from these culture warriors that just have to have it their way, where they demand you call them by their pronoun, where they demand you call them by what they feel like they woke up as that day, instead of accepting the reality of what they are. This requires a deep understanding of the target audience's sense of humor while staying true to the original wit. So basically, they need to understand what could get them canceled. What jokes coming over from Japan aren't accepted in Western culture, so that they need to change the language and make sure that it is something tangible and acceptable for Western audiences, and in doing so, it's morphing what Japan is creating into something that the West is wanting, because the West is where the money is for them. And unfortunately, they're going to start developing games for what the audiences here are demanding. Not the masses, but the people that can get you canceled. Consistency in terminology. Maintaining consistency in terminology is crucial for a smooth and coherent gaming experience. This applies to not only translating words, but also ensuring the game mechanics, instructions, and lore. Yeah, that right there, that is what localization is supposed to be. Translating the words, making sure that it's consistent with the terminology, and making sure that if there's some weird word verbiage that only makes sense in one language that wouldn't make sense in another, that it gets changed and adjusted where it would make sense. But what this is doing is completely changing the intent of the words to make sure that it doesn't offend. And right there is changing the entire premise of what a company is founded upon. And that's where people need to take a stand and say, no, I ain't having it. This ain't cool. I am not going to be participating in this change of dynamic in your company. And Capcom, in my humble opinion, stabbed themselves in the heart with the proverbial woke sword. I don't know where it's going to go from here, but at this point, this kind of stuff needs to stop. I'm not saying we should harass people with pronouns. I'm not saying we should go after people with mental disabilities. I'm just saying I'm standing up for myself in the games that I enjoy playing, because this is a platform that I've created for myself, and it's a hill that I'm going to die on. I want games coming over from Japan that stick to the culture of what Japan intended, and I don't want them changing for what some people in the Western audience are demanding, or else they're going to make sure that they create this campaign together to get the company canceled. That right there is the problem with all of it. Anyways, those are my feelings on it. If you want more information or references, links, all the information will be on the Smash JT article. I will link in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. Smash JT. Smash JT. Smash JT. Smash JT. Smash JT. Smash JT. Smash JT.